All right, we're live. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. And I'm joined this evening by my two lovely guest hosts, Miss G, Georgette Truan. Miss G, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
And of course, Miss Cassandra Woodard. Miss Cassandra, how are you this evening? Miss Cassandra, how are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm already sorry, I know.
Way to start it off right. And tonight we have a very special guest, Miss Veronica. Is it Palomonio? Am I pronouncing that right? Palomino. Okay. Hi, Veronica. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. So what state are you coming to us from?
From California.
Oh, you're in California. Oh, you know what? I think Grace did mention that to me in a message. Do you care to tell us your county or no?
Yolo County.
Oh, Yolo County.
The famous Yolo County, yes.
Yolo County. I'm not sure what to say about that county. It's a small county. The area is so nice. It's so easy for me to get to. I just fly into Sacramento, 15-minute Uber ride, and I'm at the courthouse.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It is a nice place.
And then you have UC Davis there. Seems like it would be a great place. But for some reason, and I don't know if it's because the county hasn't been sued by people whose civil rights they violate. But it's an interesting place in terms of the power CPS believes that they have and that they just take, right? So tell me, what is your connection to CPS?
Okay, well, back in 2019, my kids were removed from my care. It was due to a lot of domestics. My ex, we had our domestics, whatever, but okay, well, it started off in Solano County. We were living in Solano County. I ended up in jail. I did time there. My kids the CPS did get involved, but my kids didn't get taken away at that point in time. It was just
Veronica,
yes?
slow it down a little bit. Slow it down.
Sorry. Okay. They didn't find any reason to take my kids. It was just hearsay. So then my kids, they dropped the case, and then we ended up moving to Yolo County. So when we moved to Yolo County, we were still with the domestics and all that. And one time, well, when I was in Solano County, when I was in jail, actual jail, one of the CPS supervisors went in there and talked to me and had told me that if the cops were to get involved again, my kids would be taken away. And I looked at him and I was like, how is that? Cops are supposed to be there to protect and serve, not, I didn't get it. I was confused. So when I got out of jail, we moved to Yolo County.
Wait, hold on, Veronica, hold on a second, because something's not clear to me. Remember, you and I have never met. We've never talked. So I want to make sure that I get the full story from you. Why were you arrested?
I was arrested because my ex decided to call the cops on me, saying I was the aggressor in the domestic violence.
Okay, so there was an alleged incident. You were arrested. Your kids still hadn't been taken away, right?
No.
Okay, so how did that happen?
That happened when I was in jail. One of the people from Solano County CPS had told me if I were to call the cops when I got out again, having to do with any domestics, my kids would be taken away. So I got out. I kind of still, because he had my kids. So when I got out of jail, I went back. He then got more just out of hand. And I finally had to call the cops. And that's when we were already in Yolo County. When I called them, they showed up. He was already gone at the time. They moved. We were staying at a hotel at that time. We were moved into another room because I had asked them, can you please, move me rooms so he doesn't know what room we're in. So they did that. Then a few hours later, I get a knock on the door and I see it's Davis Police Department. And I opened it. I was like, oh, they're probably coming to check on us. maybe see how we're doing, see how the kids are doing, whatever. And no, I opened the door, and here come two ladies behind them, and my heart just dropped. Um, I I was shocked. My kids were, my oldest ones were like, "What's going on, mom? Like, why are they doing this?" Um, they had said if I had anybody to get my kids that night, that they could go with them. Well, I had a friend that was there with me, and she agreed. She said, "I'll go ahead and take them." And after she said that, then one of the ladies from the from the CPS had said, "Oh, no, no, we're taking them. We're not leaving them with anybody." I said, "How are you gonna sit there and say it's okay that I can call somebody or have somebody take them, and then you're gonna all of a sudden change your mind?" And no, that's what we're gonna do. We're taking them. So they ended up taking them. Um, I started with, of course, going to the court dates. Started how they had asked me to take my classes, yes, just go to my visits, take my my management classes, my parenting classes, and another thing of classes. And that's when COVID had just hit. So at that time, I was like, okay, so everything started closing little by little, and everything more and more, everything was closing. I was like, man, I was like, how am I? There's no way. There's nothing open. I can't redo what they're requiring me to do. And I was scared. And also when I went in back to court, I had explained to them, I haven't done this because of COVID and everything's closed. I've been going everywhere to try to get my classes done, to do what you guys are asking me so I can get my kids back, and I just can't. So then they're like, "Oh no, well, we're going to take away your reunification services," because I didn't fulfill what they had asked me within the time. I was like, "But you guys got to understand, COVID was in effect. I can't do anything. If I can't go and do these things, why would you guys take away my services? Can't you guys give me some more time to do it?" And they said no. So then they took away my services. I appealed it. They denied it. I started doing the classes and everything on my own. I took them when I had my next court date. I took them my paperwork and my certificates and everything, showing that I already had took my classes and that I already passed them and everything. Then they came out with, "Oh well, now you don't have a stable living condition. I don't have a roof to put over their head." I said, "Okay, you guys said from the beginning that you guys would help me get some, a roof over my head for my kids. Now I did these services by myself. I brought you the proof that I did them. That's change of circumstances. You guys need to look at this. This is not right." And they're like, "Oh no, no. So now, sorry, you're gonna have to find somewhere to stay. That you're gonna have, and that you're gonna be able to live there with your kids, and all this, that they have to have their rooms the way the rules are about that." And I said, "Are you guys serious?" And they're like, "Yes." So then that happened, and then they didn't want to do my kids back still. So I was like, man, I was like, what else can I do? They're like, "Oh well, we're just gonna have to put them up for adoption, that because they were in the house, the foster parents' house for that time being that they had to be in there. So they're like, we're gonna put them up for adoption." I said, "What do you mean put them up for adoption?" They're like, "It's already been this long." I said, "But you guys understand, it's COVID. I cannot do anything. I can't make things happen with the snap of my fingers. You guys have to work with me." And they just kept on with the, "No, no, we can't. They're going to be adopted out, and we're going to take your parental rights away. We're going to, yeah, you're going to have, your visits are going to get reduced." They just started little by little taking everything away from me, more and more and more. I went from having like 4 visits out of the week to having only 3, then to having 2 only on the weekends, and then to having 1, and then to having 1 every other week. Um, Now my 2 oldest ones, they're under guardianship, so I'm not dealing with, it's my 2 younger ones because they got separated. So my 2 younger ones are the ones that they put up for adoption, and they took my rights away. I appealed that. I'm still going through all that, but they just, oh my gosh, sorry, it's so much.
Take your time.
So when I went to the court date of my last one of them saying that my parental rights were going to be taken away, that like I felt like giving up. I felt like, but I didn't know what to do. I'm not originally from here, so I don't know all the laws and everything from over here. I'm from Texas, so I don't know all this stuff. I don't know what I have to do or what I did what they asked me. I tried, at the time frame that they asked, but I couldn't because like I said, because of COVID. So well, my two younger ones, so now they're at the foster place that they're at, and they're being adopted out.
Wait a minute. Why weren't your kids placed with relatives or family friends?
Because I have no family here. I'm from, like I said, I'm from Texas.
Doesn't matter.
But his side of the family
Doesn't matter.
didn't really.
The relatives can live anywhere in the world. They don't have to be in
Yeah.
your family.
So I found that out, like I said, because I'm not from here. I found that out like at the end when it was already too late, when they already were taking my rights away. Is when I started finding all these things out. My lawyer, she did not put all into it.
Was your lawyer
And
court
there's a
appointed?
lot more she could have done.
Was your lawyer court appointed, or did you privately hire
Yes,
a lawyer?
court appointed.
So
I know she could have done a lot more. I know there's a lot of more things that could have been granted, or I know there is.
how old
And
were the children that?
my youngest one, he wasn't even a month old. Then I had my at that time he was 7, and then my 13 and my 14-year-old.
Okay,
So now they're 17, 16, 9, and 3.
Okay, not Rosalinda. Veronica. Rosalinda has posted. Can you hear me,
What was
Veronica?
that? I can barely hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Rosalinda Castro just posted something. Yes, Yolo County CPS doesn't tell us anything, and the attorneys don't advise us of our rights here. Now, I want to
That's
tell you
true.
something. I want to tell you something. It is not the responsibility of the county, the CPS, to tell you about your rights. Do you understand that? It's the responsibility of your attorney and you. I've told this story before, and it's a lesson that I learned from law school, my first year of law school. And a professor explained to us that ignorance of the law is no excuse. I found that so harsh. I found it unfair. But that's the system we live in. And that's
That's true.
what's applied. I mean, I talk to so many parents, and the level of understanding of these cases goes from very low to pretty high. But the people that are pretty high, they've already lost their kids. It's like they started learning stuff, at the end when they figure it out. Oh, these people really are going to take my kids away from me permanently. I better do something. And I've heard Miss G and Cassandra talk about this. You need to start learning about it right up front, right at the very beginning. Because yes, these people are serious. They will take your kids away from you permanently. And most people, I talked to a grandmother today who couldn't believe what the social workers were doing to her with respect to her grandchildren. They won't let her visit. They won't let her have the kids. And she had nothing to do with why the kids were removed. They were removed because of domestic violence and drug abuse, alleged domestic violence and drug abuse between the mother and father. She didn't even live with the mother and father. As a matter of fact, she lives in a different county in Southern California. The case is in LA County, and she lives in Orange County. You know, she lives near Disneyland. And for whatever reason, LA won't send her or allow her to develop a relationship or continue the relationship with her grandchildren. She had a relationship with the kids. She used to babysit them all the time. So, you know, you never know what the true reason is for why social workers make decisions. I
But the
tend,
social worker really never, like, me and him never even really interacted. We never interacted. Okay, so I remember how I was saying about the CPS person I talked to in Solano County. Well, he ended up moving to Yolo County and was on my case. Now he's the supervisor of the social workers, but he was on my case like if he was my social worker. And my social worker, me and him, we didn't even interact. We didn't even talk. He never came to one of my visits that I had with my kids. He like I maybe spoke with him maybe like a handful of times, if at that. He never. He went to the visit. He went to go see them at the houses that they were at. He would go to do all those places. But when it had time to do with my visits or with anything, he would not go. So how is he going to sit there and say something about my visits when he was not at one visit of mine with my kids?
You said you were appealing the termination of your parental rights. Has your attorney filed a brief?
So they gave me another lawyer, a different lawyer, and it's I forgot what it's called. Oh yeah, well for the appeal, it's I guess it's a back and forth thing. My other lawyer was telling me it's a back and forth thing, like between like they email each other or whatever. And yeah, so that's where it's at. So she's that new lawyer that they appointed me. She's doing two appeals. The two appeals that I did was my services and for them trying to take my rights away. Also, those 3 years, not one time did I ever get an unsupervised visit. Not one time. And now that my two youngest ones are out of the picture right now, that I only have visits with my two older ones, they want to give me unsupervised visits. Why would they wait? I had been asking for my unsupervised visits forever, and they did not one time even bring it up. Not one time did they even say nothing. It was never an option for me when I did everything that they asked me to do.
Hey Veronica, let me pass the mic to Miss G. Miss G, do you have any comments or questions?
When you say they've never been to one supervised visits that you had, right? They've never monitored your
Yes, you
visits.
know what was that?
You mentioned that the social worker was saying he or she was there on your visits, but they never were, right? No one.
Yeah, right. They never showed up to any of my visits.
Right. Was that
They never, not one time has my social worker ever attended a visit and sat there and seen how I interact with my kids. Not one time.
was your visits at the facility or was your visits outdoors?
It was at the facility at one time. Well, it started at the facility, then it ended up going to be able out in public, and then it ended up back in the facility. Because my
What
son, my 9-year-old, had in August he had lashed out and he ran away from the foster mom twice, and they try to put the blame on me, saying that he gets that way after he has a visit with me, but it already had been 3 days when he had when he ran away the first time.
Well, the reason that he's acting that way is because they're confusing him. He wants to be with mom. So let's make that very clear. They traumatize the children in general, and that's why the children behave or misbehave during the visits. But then they always blame the mom for everything.
That's what they're doing, and that's what they've been doing is they continue to blame me for a lot of things. That when they're over there with the families, the foster parents, that it's due to my visits. That's why they were lowering my visits each time. That's why I kept getting my hours reduced. And I was
Right.
like, what? I was like, but he's fine when he has a visit with me. He doesn't act this way.
Right.
And more and more, they kept taking him away. And then finally, it was at the end. I believe it was August August 17th was the last time I had seen my 9 year old had stopped going to visit, and I didn't know why, because he would go to all of them, and out of nowhere he stopped going, and I was like, why is he not going anymore? Like, why Zoom visit? Can I get this? Can I get that? And they're like, oh no, the foster parents refuse a Zoom visit, or oh, because he's outside playing with his friends, or because he's doing this, or he. I'm like,
But
wait,
hold
my
on,
son's
hold on,
always busy.
hold on, hold on a second, honey. Veronica,
Uh-huh.
they want to adopt your children, right? Okay. So before that, they made sure that your visits are shorter, correct? So, as I mentioned to you guys several times for years, the way they do their strategies, their demonic strategy is to lower the visits before an adoption because they want to alienate you from your child and your child from you. Therefore, they will go tell your child that mom didn't show up and etc. So basically, they alienate your child first. And then you're like thinking, okay, it's the foster mom. This has nothing to do with the foster parent that's going to adopt. This has
Well,
something to do.
let me tell you, the foster mom emailed, okay, the foster mom emailed the social worker and had told him, okay, the first email was about, oh, I thought we were going to get to adopt them out right away. How come this is taking so long? I'm not going to want to get them. I'm not going to want to keep them no more if it continues to be any longer. Um, yeah, she sent an email like that to the social worker. That was the first one. The second one, she had said that was after the fact that my son, my 9 year old, had ran away twice from her. That uh if he continues to do this, I'm not going to be able to keep him. He's going to have to get picked up or whatever. But I will be keeping my which was my other son, my 3 year old. She's all, I will be keeping him, but I will not be keeping my 9 year old. So she was trying to separate them two because my 9 year old was lashing out and wasn't acting right or doing whatever was going on. And they still let, like, that's why I didn't get, how are they going to still let her adopt my kids out when she emailed them saying that she didn't really even want my 9 year old because he lashed out or he ran away or he did this.
Right.
Like that's why I feel that she has a lot to do with it, because those emails and it just, it doesn't make sense to me. Of course it's not going to make sense to me, but I'm supposed to have my kids. Then it started on their birthdays. I didn't get to see them on their birthdays. Last year I didn't get to see them on their birthdays when it was my visit on the weekend that I had my time with them, and she knew it. She would find something. They would go somewhere. They would go out of town. It was always one thing after another.
So the kids they're in an adoptive from day one. They were put in an adoptive foster home. Am I right?
And then they got moved. They got moved a few times. And the last ones that they're with, they're the ones, because it wasn't like that with the other families that my kids were with. It wasn't like that. And with this family, the last one that they're with, everything like just it was like I wasn't getting my visits because they were always gone, and they had to go here, they had to be there, or they, like, I was like, why would you do that? Like, the weekends are my days. Why would you go and plan something with my kids knowing that I'm supposed to be with them and they're supposed to be with me? That's my time. Don't take my time away. And she kept on and kept on, and then they kept at it, so they reduced my hours. And then it went to not even having business with them anymore.
Cassandra, go ahead, baby.
I do notice that they also do that a lot too, where they take kids and they go and do something maybe fun or go to like Disneyland or out of town or do something like that, especially when a mom is trying to go see them. So that way they're like, oh, look what we can do better than your mom. Your mom can't do this with you right now, so we're going to do this with you. So that way you forget about your mom, or they feel like they treated better. And that's another thing that I feel like is going on with my situation. I feel that. Like, I feel like certain things, the reason why my kids are acting the way they are is because they want to be with people that are going to take them places and do things with them like way better than I am, because I don't have the money to afford it, or I'm not able to because I can't visit with them. And so I know where you're coming from with that. That's horrible. Like, they should have been able to come see you, if that's your time. But then they make plans out of nowhere to go somewhere special, and it just spoils them, kind of like they're gonna get
Yeah,
this all the
they're got that word where like they give them all these gifts, they give them all everything that they want so that they can stay with them more instead of coming in and being with their mom. And yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
When they ask, do you want to go back with your parents, or do you want to do this, and they're like, no, we
They're
want
gonna
to
be like,
continue
no.
this and get all this, when we can't afford it, or we can't even do it because they won't even give us the chance to do it.
But wait, Cassandra, that depends on the child's age. That depends on the child age. Oftentimes when the children are maybe 11, 12, like that, they still want to go home. But sometimes when they're little, certain age, then they
Yeah,
buy them.
my son was 7 when they took them. He's 9 now.
Yeah, so they buy him, like, literally
Oh, they took him to Disneyland. They took him. Yeah,
yeah,
they've done all that. They've taken him to the beach. They've taken him, bought him this stuff, bought him that. Yeah, they've done it. They've done it, all of it, and they take them. Oh, they take them to the snow. They take them here. Yeah, they've done all that,
yeah, and
and
then
it's
they
like a
always buy
constant thing
them.
that they keep doing.
Yeah, and they buy them very expensive electronics. Believe it or
Yeah,
not, yeah, 7-year-old will have an iPhone.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
ladies, I want to tell you guys a story. Many years ago, more than 2 decades ago, I was a court-appointed attorney in Los Angeles County. And at that time, it was a very different court appointment system. You would represent parents, relatives, and children. So I represented children, in the mix of clients that I had. And I represented a group of siblings that were taken away from their mother, um, who, was not very wealthy, probably poverty line. And there were so many of the children that they were placed in different places, different foster homes. The oldest girl got placed with a couple in Malibu, California. And she was living a lifestyle that, she never knew. Very expensive home near the beach. Um, had all the fine clothes because she was taken shopping, um, and provided for. When it came time at the first 6-month review for the children to go home, um, all of the children wanted to go home except for this one child. And to convince the mom that the child should stay there, they offered the girl and the mom to put the girl through college, private college. She ended up going through college and went to medical school, became a doctor. Okay. And occasionally, sometimes years apart, I get an email from this young lady who's now married and has her own children. And in one of the emails, she told me that she had regrets. Although her life turned out the way it did, college, medical school, doctor, married, her own kids, that she had a regret. And that regret was she didn't grow up with her family. She didn't grow up with her brothers and sisters. There are a few of them. And, and her mother. The dad wasn't in the picture. And I think it kind of haunts her, you know? So I always wonder about what we're doing as a society, taking kids away from parents and not returning them, you know, and the time frame for a child or a mother to get the child back or father to get the child back is so short these days. You know, when I first started doing this type of law, it wasn't strict like it is now. Now it's 6 months or 12 months and you're out. You're out of the picture. Occasionally, somebody gets 18 months. I've even seen it happen a couple of times, and the department hates this. 24 months. There's actually a code section about that. But, it's either 6 months or 12 months and you don't get your kids back, you're gone. And to be honest with you, I was around when the law changed. And in my humble opinion, it's all about money disguised as doing the best for the children.
Mhm.
So, I mean, these are things that we have to address. These are things that happen. And
What I call, excuse me, I'm sorry. What I call it is legal human trafficking,
I would have to agree with you.
because they get away with it because they can do it and they get away with it.
I
That's
agree.
what it is. Legal human trafficking. We can't do, that's it. That's in plain words. That's how I see it, honestly.
Throughout human history, there have been slave trade throughout the history. And it just wasn't black folks, there was slave trade all over the world. There's slave trade going on now, right? You see it on the news sometimes. But yeah, I would agree with you. This is a type of slave trade. And I don't think that we are going to fully appreciate the negative aspects of this for a few decades.
And what they do, like, I have it all in my head, like what they do, if it's like since my kids are their age groups, since it's different, that's why they separated them. So my older ones wouldn't be there to fend for my younger ones. So therefore now my older ones are in another house and my younger ones are in a different house. My younger one has nobody to look up to. He has nobody to be big brother. He has to be big brother and doesn't know what to do. So therefore, he's in a vulnerable state because he just got taken away from his two older brothers, and
Sure.
that gives, like, it was man, they're so just.
You know what? It's really, you bring that up. That it's an important point. I mean, you're going to be affected, no doubt. But you know who's going to be really affected?
My
It's
kids are,
the kids. Not only did they lose a parent, but they lost siblings. Like, how
and
does
they're
that
supposed to stay in contact. The ones that have my two younger ones were supposed to stay in contact with the foster mom of my two older ones.
No,
Not
not going to happen.
nothing, no contact.
Veronica, let me ask you something. Of all your kids, were they all represented by the same attorney?
Um, at, yes, from the beginning, yes, they were, and then when they got, I believe, I don't know what was the they had separated. It was the two older ones. Oh, because they were trying to take my rights away. So the lawyer that had all four of them, she said that she wants to dismiss herself from my two younger ones because she didn't want to have. I guess she didn't want to have to be put in that situation. I don't know, but that's what she said. So
But
they
did she?
appointed another lawyer for my two
But did
younger
she?
ones.
But did she stay on the case?
Yes, with my two older ones.
Did you agree to that?
No.
You might want to talk to your appellate lawyer to see if that's an issue you can bring up. May not be. I think the law actually is that it's not a conflict. I mean, but Jesus Christ, I mean, if that's not a conflict, what is? I guess,
And also, what
I
I
shouldn't be
also think was
surprised.
a conflict of interest. So the supervisor, that's the supervisor of my social worker, he was the one I spoke with when I was in jail in Solano County. He was the same guy I spoke with when he worked in Solano County CPS. Is the same guy that ended up being on my case, but he's the supervisor of the social workers. That's conflict of interest right there.
I would disagree with you.
But he was already, like, he knew things, like, why was he on my, like, I don't get it. Why was he on my case the way he was. It was like he was my social worker. It wasn't even like the social worker that was my social worker didn't do anything. He was the one that was doing it all.
You know, the conflict of interest is defined in the law. Okay, it's not what you and I would think. You know, having a cup of coffee and talking about life and justice. It's defined by law, and I don't see that being a conflict of interest. I don't.
So him knowing me before I even had a case in Yolo County, and him
No.
transferring to Yolo County
Correct.
after,
Correct.
huh?
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Now, had you had some type of personal relationship with him, or he was a family member, that would be a conflict. But him just working on a case previously, in my humble opinion, that is not a conflict. There's a lot of things wrong with your case. That's not one of them, in my opinion. I may be wrong, but that's just how I see it. What do you think about that, Miss Cassandra?
I agree with you. I don't see it being, because I just felt I've had that kind of happen to me before in this case. I've had a social worker who was on a previous case of mine that they came to my house and just interviewed me, and then they didn't do anything. But then years later, then it ended up being the same, social worker, but he wasn't my social worker. He was just there kind of supervising and then telling them all the stuff that I thought was a good thing on my case and adding it to my new case as a bad thing instead of a good thing. Like it's crazy. They're crazy. I don't.
Miss G, what do you think? Do you think that's a conflict of interest? And why? My lip reading's not that good.
I do think it's a conflict of interest.
And why?
Everything that Veronica said, she's right about everything. He knows way too much. He knows too much. It's a conflict of interest, absolutely. But that's just my opinion. Of course, you might disagree with it, but
they brought up my past of from when I was in Texas, kind of things like that had nothing to do with how my lifestyle is now, or how or what has. This was years back, years.
That's what they're known for.
Yeah, that's what exactly what they did, and that I feel that only because this one that got transferred was in the because I was in jail and he looked all that stuff up and everything. He knew all that stuff, and it's basically he brought it from that county to Yolo County so that it can screw me over.
Either way, they would have found out.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but the way they would have found out, but the things that they said and that was way too much. That was way too much. Like they're man, they're so just they disgust me 100%, and and what gets me the most is that, like how Mr. Davis said, that it's not affecting me more, it's affecting my kids more.
Oh yeah,
each and every day.
It's gonna affect them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Veronica, let me just say this, and I said this before as well. You're dealing with a narcissistic piece of shit system that no matter what you say, how you say it, when you say it, you're going to always be wrong. And they will twist your words and not remember anything. I mean, you're dealing with a demonic narcissistic system. You literally have no chance if you don't have the right attorney to guide you and defend your rights in court. But oftentimes women, especially women, don't have that. They don't have the finances to do that. Somebody's ringing my doorbell. Hold that thought. 1 second.
That's exactly what it is. I don't have the funds to be able to get, I don't. If I did, I would have a long time ago. I'm doing everything that I can to my fullest, and it's hard. It is, but I wake up every single freaking day and I keep doing it and I keep doing it and I keep finding something and I'll figure out some way somehow. I need my
Veronica,
kids, my kids, my life.
Veronica, we're moving towards the end of the show. Were there any questions you wanted me to answer for you?
I mean, you pretty much answered everything that I've said. You know, you've given feedback. So, I mean, how can I don't know. Like, I just want my kids. I want to see my kids. My two younger ones. Is there anything I can do to right now, like to be able to get in contact with them, like to
Have
where
they
it's
been
not going to fall back on me?
have they been adopted yet? Or just your rights
No,
terminated?
they haven't, not yet.
You know, the other thing, I don't know how successful this would be, but it's low probability. You could, talk to a lawyer about bringing some type of federal civil rights lawsuit, trying to stop it, trying to overturn the termination of your rights. But it's hard. It's hard. Um, yeah, I wish we'd have talked, a year ago.
I
I
believe I spoke to you, Veronica, before, right?
So, yeah, you
We did.
spoke with me, or no, yeah, I've been on your guys' show. It was yeah, I was on your guys' show. It was about maybe about a year and a half ago.
Yep.
If we were representing you, there was a lot of things that can be done. Were you
Yeah, I
still?
did it. Yeah,
were- were-
and I did actually also mention that I wasn't like due to financial services, it's hard for me to get a lawyer that because you were the first one that was told to me since like I said because I'm not from here, they recommended you and right away I got a hold and spoke with somebody and therefore, but like I said, financial issues is it.
When I represent people in Sacramento and Yolo County, one of the things that happens just, because I'm in Southern California, I got to fly up there. I got to fly back. I got to take a Uber to get to court. Heaven forbid I got to spend the night and go back to court the next day. Like, who pays for all of that?
No, I understand. I totally
Yeah.
understand. I get what I get that part. I totally get it. It's just I'm trying everything and anything I can. If I like, I got to figure out some way somehow. I mean, start raising money or something. If I can get some, just so I can. I don't know. I'm just like I'm starting from the bottom. I had my ex we had lost everything, so I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything at all, and now I have my own car. I'm renting out a room. I'm doing things, and I can't let that. I can't fail, let alone myself, but my kids. You know what I mean? I
Right.
gotta keep doing. Yeah.
Now, I want to tell you something, Veronica. I was of the opinion that once your parental rights and your children were adopted, that there is a very small chance of you getting them back under current law. But I want to tell you something. A few months ago, we had a lady on the show, and I happened to know her situation because a friend of mine ended up representing her. She lost her parental rights. The child was adopted. She never gave up. 5 years goes by. 5 years. She gets her child back and her rights reinstated. Now, it's a very unique story. Don't get me wrong. It's not commonplace, but never give up.
Oh, look! Can you see it on my look at my wall?
I saw it, but sometimes I talk to people and I get the feeling from their talking to them, their body language, facial expression, their tone, their volume, that, it really, really hurts inside, almost to the point that they want to give up. So I'm telling you, never give up. Never give up. And I know you're working with a group up there and they're doing good things. Before we end the show, tell us a little about the Northern California Families United.
Well, it's a lot, not a lot of, it's a big group of people. Hold on.
It's okay. Erica
Those
says,
last words you told me.
I hope I didn't upset you.
No, it's not. It's true.
Okay.
Like all that. Like never give up, never give up.
Never give up.
As much as as much as it kills me inside and how I'm just tired of just drained out of it. I'm never gonna stop for my kids. I'm never gonna give up for them. They're my life. They're my kids and they belong with me. And I'm
You know,
gonna continue doing what I have to do.
can I suggest something to you? We don't know each other, but I just get this feeling about you. Um, do you think you could turn your life's attention and your life's work to helping people and helping reform CPS? Do you think that you may be called to do that?
I think so.
So,
I think so, like, cause and that's crazy you say that though, because me, what I want to do is cause that's what I do. I like to help people out. I like to, give them advice if they need it, or I like to do that. And I wanted to be some kind of counselor or something like, cause I've been through it all. I've been through a lot, and all this stuff that I've been through is not easy. And if I could give that advice to somebody before they even think about going down any kind of road or anything, you know, think twice before you do anything wrong, that you might have second doubts about, because
right.
you never know what, you gotta just, life is life is crazy, but I'm still doing it, and I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm not gonna stop. No way is there. I'm never gonna stop for my kids.
Hey, I want to tell you something about these two ladies that are co-hosts on my show tonight. I said guest hosts earlier. They're co-hosts. And Miss G brought that to my attention. But they're co-hosts. They both have something very unique, and that is a desire to make change and help people. You can't really do this job unless you have that desire.
Oh, I do. I do. I like. It's a passion for me. I
I
like
see that.
fucking
I,
helping
s-
people. Oh, sorry,
I
excuse my language.
No, I see that, and I see the passion. A lot of times I ask people this. You know, Here's something that a lot of people don't know. Okay, I have kind of like a Netflix app, and it's called beatcps.com. And all the shows that I ever do are on that app. You can go watch them 24/7. My goal is to have hosts like Miss G, like Miss Cassandra, that do a show every day for 24 hours. So, in other words, 24 shows going every day so that you can just watch and learn and share and be supported and support other victims of CPS. The numbers are there, it's hundreds of thousands of people all over this country. And I know Miss Jen and I kind of are amazed by this, but once in a while, we get calls from Canada, more than once in a while. We get calls from New Zealand. We get calls from Australia, from the
Oh,
United Kingdom.
Hawaii.
So
that's crazy.
these are people all over the world where this CPS model, the governments are trying to use it to make money. In the By saying they're protecting kids. Fastest way to make money in our country is to say you're helping kids or animals,
Yeah.
right? And so I want you to think about being a host. You can do it once a week, twice a week, 4 times a week, every day. You know, think about it, because I think people just calling in or coming on with you on a live stream and you talking to them, it's going to help somebody. In my opinion, is if it helps one person, it was worth it. It was worth it. So I'm telling our producer Grace right now, she's off camera, but Grace, contact Miss Veronica and see if she'd like to do a show. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be for an hour. It could be 30 minutes. It could be 15 minutes. Or it could be like this show, 45 minutes.
I do the most that I can to if that's what it's gonna take, then yeah, I would love to do that.
Well, I do want to say, Miss Veronica, thank you for being a guest tonight and sharing your story. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. And I want to thank my co-hosts, Miss Cassandra and Miss G, for again being on the show and sharing with us and trying to
Yes,
help
thank you
people.
guys. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Trying to help people. And I will see, and thank you all out there for watching this evening. We're going to be on tomorrow night at 7. And I want to make an announcement. I'm trying to pick out a date to do this in a separate show. We have actually come across a social worker, I won't say what state, who wants to come on and expose CPS where she works. I'm in the process of trying to verify that she actually works there. You know, I don't want to be irresponsible, just have somebody on saying they work for CPS when they don't. But once I verify this, we're going to have a special show where this woman comes on and talks to us. And for what I've been told, I haven't talked to her, but what I've been told is she's willing to show her face, use her voice, and use her name and tell us where she works.
Oh my God.
And she allegedly is going to tell us a bunch of stuff that we already knew or suspected about how CPS operates. And
That's gonna be interesting.
I think that she is just I've been told she's just fed up with it. So more on that to come. I need to do a little investigating and then I'll announce the day and the time of the show. We might do it right after this show. So we do this show from 7 to 7:45, 8 o'clock. And then I might do that special show with this one woman as a special show. And it'd be very interesting to hear what she has to say. Technically, she's still employed. I have a
How can
feeling that's
she
not going to
show
be for
her
very long.
face if she's still employed?
What?
How can she show her face if she's still employed?
I don't know. I didn't ask
Better.
her.
I suggest you do an investigation, make sure she is legit,
Right.
truly is a worker, not
Right.
somebody who's trying to give us some bullshit talk. And
Right.
people need to know. No way that she would be on a show if she is working. And I just,
So I have a private
yeah.
investigator actually that we have retained to verify some of this stuff.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Maybe it's a hoax, maybe it's not, but we'll see. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. with our regular show. Good night, all.
Good night. Bye.